If you're new to your lock journey, this video is going to be great for you. It's going to offer you a different perspective. I know a lot of people who've reached out and they've been like, Laura, I really want to lock my hair, but I don't want to go through that ugly phase. I don't want to go through that period of time where my hair looks messy. But I'm here today to give you some tips on how you can enjoy that starter lock phase. I took some notes while I was in the car because I really sat down and I was like, Laura, what helped you get through your journey? What helped you just go through that beginning initial phase in a way that didn't feel like your hair was unmanageable? So I do want to start off by recognizing the fact that it is a terrible experience when you feel like you don't know what to do with your hair, when you feel like you're not equipped, and when you feel like you are not in control of whatever is going on with your hair. I want to name that, and I also want to recognize that it's not an easy thing to go through. However, it's not the end-all be-all. That quote-unquote ugly phase is not the only part of your lock journey, which today I'm here to give you tips on how you can better experience the new start to your lock journey, or the initial phases of your lock journey is really what I'm trying to say. I realize that on this channel, I talk to individuals who might be further along in their lock journeys, but I also have experience from starting my lock journey that I do want to offer. Actually, part of why this channel started is I was doing trial and error with a lot of different things. I wanted to show my lock journey in a transparent manner via YouTube for people to learn from that experience. So I wrote down some different things that helped me, and I want to share with you how I got through my quote-unquote ugly phase, or the initial phase of my lock journeys. I had the first few months where I really had no clue what was going on with my hair. I didn't feel well equipped to take care of my hair, and I think that frustrated me more than anything. But after I got through those 3 or 4 months, I started embracing the journey. And I'm going to talk to you about what changed. A lot of these things have to do with mindset versus things that you actually do. So the first thing, and I'm going to be looking down because I literally scribbled these things down as I was trying to process through, like, how did I survive this? The first thing is, when you look at photos of other people's journeys, look at the photos for inspiration and not for comparison. What does this mean? Oftentimes, I know for me, I'll look at people, we know the people who we see on YouTube, on Instagram, the main locked people, we see their locks and we admire them, which that's not a bad thing because we aspire for our hair to get there. However, it becomes a problem when you start comparing. Inspiration is not a bad thing, but when you start looking at yourself and saying, oh my gosh, this person is 2 years into their lock journey, or this person is 6 months. I think that this is actually a big problem. I remember Googling or even YouTube being 1 month locked, 8 weeks locked, 4C hair, twist locks. And this was a big thing in the beginning. Right now, I don't remember the last time I looked at somebody else's journey to see where they are. Now, it's not a bad thing for inspiration. It's not a bad thing just to see if your hair is more or less around the same place. But if you end up dwelling on those images, sometimes it can feel like your hair is not making any progress, or your hair is not where it needs to be. So be mindful of the pictures that you're looking at. I would actually even encourage that you limit the amount of pictures that you're looking at in that initial phase. Something else that you need to understand is that your hair is going to lock if you leave it alone. Just leave it alone. And for all my locked queens and kings who have experienced this, I know you can attest to this as well, that the moment you stop doing too much with your hair and just let it be at locked. I know you hear this a lot. I know people say your hair is eventually going to lock and eventually is going to look the way it needs to look like. It's hard to hear it when you're not in that place, but honestly speaking, it's going to lock. When you think about your hair locking, it really requires you just leaving it. It doesn't require you doing stuff. I think nowadays people have tried to find ways to help their hair lock. Of course, there are things that you can do to support the locking process, but really just let it be, and before you know it, the time is going to pass. The next thing that I want to talk about when it comes to time passing is enjoy it. The journey goes by so fast. I know right now, if you're in the initial phases, it might feel like your hair is going to be like that forever. But honestly, last year, I feel like my hair was shorter. This year, I was actually working out earlier today, and I was moving my head I was doing the movement and I realized that my hair moved and I was like, whoa, when did my hair move? Every milestone I've hit in my lock journey has happened when I'm not paying such close attention to where I am and what my hair is doing. Not saying that you should neglect your hair, because you do need to learn how to care for your hair in this new state. But if you focus so much on doing something, there's all these things online that are suggested to us. But the moment you decide to simplify your routine and just let your hair do what it does, it's going to lock. I promise you, your hair is going to lock. The last thing that I want to offer as a tip is to stop referring to your hair as going through the ugly phase. I want to give you an analogy because I love analogies. So if you've never been to a place and somebody gave you all these negative things about that place, when you arrive at the place, you're probably going to have that same perspective. You're probably going to be less receptive to what the place has to offer, versus if no one said anything to you, then you'd be open to everything. That is what I want you to have for your lock journey. Forget what everybody else has said. Forget what everybody else has experienced, including myself. When I share these videos, I want you to take the things that I'm sharing with a grain of salt and experience your journey for what it is. And I want you to embrace every piece of your journey. You actually might not even find that you view your initial phase as the ugly phase. Some people's hair frizzes up more than others. Some people's has a different response to locking than other people's. I want you to embrace whatever yours does without putting a label on it as being the ugly phase. Sure, it's different from what we're used to. We're not used to our hair being in, whether it's coils, twists, or interlocks. We're not used to our hair being that way. So once we actually lock it, it's new. And we want to put some kind of language to what it's going through. So I want to challenge you to not use any negative language to describe your hair, whether it's my hair is messy, my hair is, out of control. We're going to really try to limit how we describe our hair in a negative way, because that's going to affect your experience. So these are some mindset pieces. I will be sharing different products and different things that help my journey along. But I wanted to make sure that I put something out there for those who are new to their lock journey. This came to mind. I honestly was like, wow, all this content that I've shared is for those who are a little bit further along. But if you are yet to lock your hair and are considering doing it, do it. Anybody who's locked can probably tell you that if there's one regret they have, is they wish they would have done it sooner. So if you're thinking about it, this is your sign to lock your hair. So I want to hear about one of your biggest challenges. If you are further along in your lock journey, what was one of your biggest challenges when it came to going through that initial phase? Was it how your hair looked? Was it your ability to take care of your hair? It'd be really interesting to know. I also curious because I want other people who are considering this journey, or other people who are way in the beginning, to learn from those experiences and to see that they're not alone. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.